Welcome to this explainer. You know, in our incredibly fast-paced and, let's be honest, sometimes totally chaotic modern lives, finding spiritual grounding and maintaining absolute fairness right inside our own homes can feel like an immense challenge. Well, today, we are exploring the profound wisdom of the first 63 verses of Surah An-Nisa, the fourth chapter of the Quran. We're going to look at this text from a traditional theological perspective, really unpacking it not just as a set of historical laws, but as a deeply spiritual guide to finding peace, equity, and compassion in our modern family lives. Let's get right into it.
To set our intentions, let's take a moment to really take in the authentic recitation of the very first verse. The translation of these majestic words reads, "O humanity, be mindful of your Lord, who created you from a single soul, and from it he created its mate, and through both he spread countless men and women." Notice how this opening instantly fosters a sense of unity. Before we even start discussing laws or rules, the chapter establishes our shared purpose. We all literally stem from a single soul.
Now, the verse also introduces a concept that's absolutely foundational to this entire text, and that is Taqwa. If you're new to this term, Taqwa is often translated as the mindful consciousness of God. It is your spiritual anchor. Think of it kind of like a meditative mindset that you carry around with you, especially into those stressful family interactions. When arguments inevitably flare up or your patience is running paper thin, Taqwa is that gentle internal reminder that the Creator is ever watchful, gently guiding us to respond with fairness rather than just reacting from our ego.
Section 1. Protecting the vulnerable, shielding the weak.
As we move forward, we're starting with the most outward circle of compassion, which is building impenetrable support systems for the people who need it the absolute most. The historical context here is pretty stark. Back in 7th century pre-Islamic Arabia, the wealth of the vulnerable, especially orphans, was frequently absorbed or just unjustly consumed by their guardians. These verses arrived as a radical, highly progressive shield. They strictly prohibit exchanging worthless possessions for the orphan's valuables or devouring their inheritance, literally transforming societal norms overnight to protect the weak.
Verses 2 through 6 actually lay out some incredibly concrete steps for this compassion. It is definitely not just some vague feeling, it's an actionable duty. You are commanded not to mix an orphan's wealth with your own just to hide the math. You must feed and clothe them, speak to them with genuine kindness, and crucially, once they reach an age of sound judgment, you have to return their assets in full, with witnesses present. It's an absolute blueprint for transparent, loving guardianship. Section 2. Family Dynamics. Compassion at Home. From the community's most vulnerable, the chapter draws us into the more intimate circle of the household. Okay, let's dive into this concept from verse 4, the Mahr. Now, traditionally, this gets translated as a dowry, but the text frames it so beautifully as a gracious gift. It's definitely not a price tag. It's an obligatory, foundational act of equity in marriage that establishes female financial independence from day one. It sets a tone of mutual respect and financial dignity right at the very inception of the household.
Building on that profound respect, verse 19 explicitly bans the cruel practices of the past, like forcibly inheriting widows against their will. The text impartially and firmly commands us to treat them fairly. It insists that even in moments of marital difficulty or dislike, a husband absolutely must not mistreat his wife just to take back the mahr. The focus here is strictly on honoring women's rights and maintaining equitable, dignified treatment at all times.
But, you know, what happens when families actually clash? Because they will, right? Verses 34 and 35 offer a highly practical, step-by-step matrix for conflict resolution. Step 1 is simply to recognize the ill conduct. Step 2 starts with gentle communication, just advising one another. If that fails, Step 3 suggests creating some physical space to cool down. And before a split ever occurs, Step 4 requires appointing mediators, one from his family and one from hers. It's a highly structured, de-escalating approach designed specifically to restore harmony before things completely fall apart.
Section 3. Shared Assets. Financial Fairness. Harmony in the home often comes down to how we manage our shared responsibilities and our finances. Verse 7 establishes a groundbreaking principle for its time, and a really timeless one for ours. For men there is a share, and for women there is a share, whether as little or much. Everyone has an obligatory, spiritually mandated right to inheritance. This completely dismantled the older systems where only male warriors could inherit, explicitly bringing women and children right into the fold of financial protection.
And this brilliantly illustrates the underlying logic of those dense inheritance fractions found in verses 11 and 12. Before any heir gets a percentage, the text repeats an absolutely crucial caveat. after the fulfillment of bequests and debts. The principle is crystal clear. Fulfilling your financial obligations and settling your debts to others always comes first. Honesty in our external dealings is the basic prerequisite for fairness within our families. This entire theme of honesty naturally extends into verses 29 and 32, giving us brilliant guidelines for modern financial integrity. We're told to trade only by mutual consent, to absolutely avoid devouring each other's wealth illegally, and, crucially, to avoid toxic envy. Do not crave what Allah has given some of you over others, the text advises. Managing our shared finances requires a heart that's free from greed, focusing instead on just fulfilling our own pledges.
Section 4. Spiritual Roots, Acts of Worship.
See, all of these practical rules about money and conflict resolution, they aren't just secular laws, they are deeply rooted acts of worship. Let's listen to how this beautifully builds in verse 36. This magnificent verse maps out the expanding circles of our kindness. We are commanded to worship the Creator alone, and immediately following that, to be kind to our parents. But the circle doesn't stop there. It expands outward to close relatives, then to orphans, the poor, our near and distant neighbors, our close friends, and all the way out to the passing traveler. Our spiritual duty literally touches everyone we interact with.
And for those who strive to maintain this justice and kindness within their homes, verse 57 offers some incredibly calm, peaceful imagery. It promises that believers will be admitted into gardens under which rivers flow, staying there forever, resting peacefully under a vast, eternal shade. This is the ultimate spiritual reward for enduring the daily trials of family life with grace and equity. Look, sometimes maintaining patience is just plain exhausting. Your efforts might feel completely unseen by your family, but verse 40 offers a deeply comforting theological reminder. Indeed, Allah never wrongs anyone, even by an atom's weight. Every single act of patience in your daily routine, every single time you bite your tongue, every time you choose fairness over anger, it is all seen, it is weighed, and it is multiplied by the Creator.
Section 5. Daily Reflection. Internalizing Wisdom.
So how do we actually bring these 7th century guidelines directly into our very modern routines? Throughout verses 17, 31, and 43, we find a roadmap for meditative routines. We are told to approach our prayers with a clear, focused mind, deliberately leaving behind the intoxications and distractions of the day. When we inevitably make mistakes in our family lives, we are encouraged to repent sincerely and swiftly. By actively avoiding major sins and committing to speaking equitably with our families, we literally turn our homes into places of deep spiritual growth.
So the crucial point is captured beautifully right here in verse 58. We are commanded to return trusts to their rightful owners, and when we judge between people, to always judge with fairness. In this light, your family, your children, your spouse, your wealth, they're not your possessions. They are divine trusts placed in your hands for a limited time. How we manage them is the ultimate test of our character.
Which brings us to our final thought today. As you step away from this explainer and go back into the beautiful, sometimes messy reality of your own household, I really want you to ask yourself something. In your interactions today, are you honoring that single soul of humanity we all share? Are you returning the trusts placed in your hands and judging your family members with the patience and perfect fairness they deserve? Thank you so much for learning with me today. Take a deep breath and carry this peace with you.